Hi, I'm Brian Jordan, and you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
So I got a call that said, this is Susan Bailey. And I said, yeah, but I'm sorry, I don't know a Susan Bailey. She goes, I'm Henry Aaron's secretary. And I went, yeah. She goes, Henry would like to talk to you. I said, yeah, okay. And he said, how would you like to fly down to Sarasota and look at our pictures? And I said, I would love to. He said, well, when can you do it? Jokingly, I said, tomorrow. He goes, okay, we'll take care of that. I'll meet you at the airport in Atlanta. Susan will have the arrangements. And then I get on a plane with Hank Aaron and fly down to Sarasota. He offers me a job, and I said, well, what team do you want me to manage? He goes, no, he wants you to be a pitching coach.
Hi, this is Phil Necro. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Most guys throw it this way. Put the ball back in here, hands come around, and these two fingers come into the ball, and stiff wristed, no follow throw, and just little up and goes in the bat and hope there's no rotation on. The ball comes in there and doesn't bother. It doesn't never do the same thing twice.
This is Kyle Wright, and you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
One of my favorite moments for your career as of right now is actually this past week. It was a show of confidence by Brian Snicker. He left you in the game after bases were loaded. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, it was really cool. I went back and I saw that clip on Instagram several times. I'll be honest, I went back and I watched it numerous times. Kind of gave me chills a little bit. It was just really cool. I was kind of lost my command a little bit there. Still made some good pitches, but was definitely getting a little tired. So whenever he said, basically left me in the game, I feel like that kind of gave me what I needed to get me over the hump to make a good pitch, get a ground ball back to me, and get out of that inning.
This is Matt Olson. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond. Yeah, it's a pretty cool experience. Not everybody gets this opportunity to kind of set up their roots and be somewhere long term that they grew up and have family and friends. So it happened pretty quick there in spring training, and it was just an opportunity that my wife and I and my family thought that we couldn't pass up. So just jumped on it, and it's been a blast.
Says, Chief, why don't you race Ralph Garr? I said, okay. Said, Ralph Garr wants to race you too. So we started on the first base line on the outfield line. We started, bam, took off running. I beat him by 3 foot.
Mike Fulton here. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
I'm Kelsey Wingert, and you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Hey, this is Andrew Jones. You're watching On Deck with Tyler.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know, kind of out of the blue, tried to give you a heads up over, the community posts and everything that we would be doing a show tonight because it's been itching at me. I've been gone a while, and I haven't liked it. For those of you that don't know, the studio probably looks a little different to you. I actually just moved once again, the second time in 6 months. My fiance and I were getting married in, I guess, a little over a month. Yeah, a little over a month. So it's getting close. We went ahead, we bought our first house. So hopefully this is a permanent stint and I won't have to be gone for another month. But to those of you that reached out, to those of you that commented, Tyler, where are you at? We're worried about you. I appreciate it. I learned something over this month, which was if I ever go missing, people will wonder where I am at. And that is a good feeling, I will tell you that. But what is not a good feeling is what I've been feeling about the Atlanta Braves so far. It's been a rough season. There's no way to really go around that. After tonight, they're 25-28 after a 2-0 loss to the Phillies. Spencer Strider, his second outing, since being back in his second return this year. Only 4 2/3 pitched, 4 walks, gave up a run, 7 strikeouts. The bullpen, was good up until Daysbell. Had a rough 9th inning there, but, the bullpen's been kind of shaky all year. There's definitely concerns. There's positives to be taken away for sure, being that you do have Ronald Acuña back and being that he's been on fire ever since he did get back. I mean, obviously the first pitch he saw was awesome. The next game he homers, that's cool. He hits a double, I think, in the third game. So he's been really good. I'd say also watch out for Ozzie Albies. He's been really good, and I've done a video on it before. The stats of Ozzie without Acuña versus the stats with Acuña in the lineup or just at the park is a staggering difference. There is a big difference in the type of player that Ozzie Albies can be when his good old buddy Ronald Acuña is on the bench with him. It just makes a lot of sense. Now, we can all sit here and be happy about the returns of Strider and Acuña, but that 9.5 games back, man, it sure feels like 2022, doesn't it? It's not a good feeling. I remember we were 10.5 back of the Mets, that year, and we thought that, the world was crashing down, and the Braves came back and won the division. So it's not all lost yet. There is still time, and I will say that much like Chipper Jones, I do think this team could very well break out and be solid, not that long from now. I think this is a team that could very well march their way back and be right back where they need to be come the end of the year and maybe make a stretch for the postseason in one way or another. They're 2 games back of the Mets. The Phillies continue to push that distance between those two. It could be worse. We could be the Marlins. We could be the Rockies. But for a team that had so much expectation, this is not where they wanted to be. Now, with all of the bad, and there's been plenty of bad this year, we've had bullpen moments. We've had offense up and down. A lot of people are questioning the manager. What's new? So with all the bad, there is good, right? Orlando Arcia gets DFA'd this week. A lot of you guys were happy about that. That's not where I'm going with this, but what Nick Allen has done has been impressive. What Alex Verdugo did when he first got called up to the Atlanta Braves was solid. Eli White, I think, is one of the most underrated players, that you're not going to hear a lot about, but he is a playmaker, and he's hard to keep out of the lineup, even when some guys like Acuña come back, because he is so impactful. His base running aside, he has been really good. So there's good. I think Spencer Schwellenbach has been solid. I think, the starting pitching as a whole has gotten better, but the offense has been the most unpredictable outside of the bullpen. There's been a lot of shaky parts, but there's no doubt that if you get the right pieces at the deadline, this team could really go on a run. I think bullpen's got to be your target. If you're not targeting bullpen at the deadline, I think you're crazy, because bullpen was a target of mine in the offseason, right? Especially when you didn't bring back A.J. Minter. We already were looking at the bullpen going, I don't know, and we've been proven to be correct. So I would say that to me is the priority. I've seen people putting out their conversations about trading Ozzie Albies. I'm not going for that. I just don't see that ever really being a possibility, mainly because you have Ozzie Albies on a great deal. If Ozzie Albies wasn't playing well and you had him for, let's say, $15 million a year, maybe, but you got him on a 7-year deal for $5 million a year. You're not going to beat that at second base for what Ozzie Albies gives you. So let's just put that out there right now. I'm not going for that at all. All things considered, I think where the Braves are right now, it could be a lot worse considering how the season started. Starting 0-7 is not a good run at all. But, it's kind of where we're at. So there's a lot to talk about. I've seen, the snit hate out there quite a bit this year. I would even say more than usual, which is, saying a lot, because every year there's people that question Snit's decisions, whether it be, with bullpen or just the lineup or you name it, pinch hitters at the end of the games. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Managing is a thankless job unless you win. It is just a thankless job no matter what you do. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because somebody's going to be, on Monday morning, they're going to be the they're gonna question everything you do, right? So it's a tough job. I think Snit is still the right guy. I think he's still, doing it. And to be honest with you, for those of you that don't like it, you very well may get your wish, come, the end of this year if Snit decides to hang it up. He is getting up there in age, and, he doesn't have anything left to prove. So, like I said, you very well may get your wish, which, be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm going to say there. A lot of people wish that Ron Washington was the manager at one point. Now a lot of those same people are questioning every move he makes over in Anaheim. So, like I said, be careful what you wish for. It very well may happen. I like Snit. I think he's still got plenty to give. I think this team could be a lot better. I think it should be a lot better. And I think it will be. I think, everybody's trying hard. There's nobody on the team that's not trying hard. And, eventually it's going to work itself out. But, at some point, the team's going to play well. At some point, the team's not going to play well. It kind of goes without saying. Got some people in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining tonight. I don't really have any just topics to discuss. I really just wanted to get on and basically speak with you guys about the season so far. So I appreciate you guys joining in. Get your comments in. Remember, Super Chats always get priority. They get you moved first of the line, and we appreciate you joining in. Siggy Knight says, like I say about the team every year, especially in the summer, we'll see where the Braves are by the time my birthday comes around. For some reason, they go through this every year. Yeah, my birthday is July 27th, and you're pretty much on par. Around July 27th is, all-star game time, and it's about the time that, I really start looking at how far back we are, that kind of thing, and, basically just trying to gauge how the season is actually going in a fair way. Corey Carter wants to know where I've been. I think we discussed that. I hope my answer was satisfactory. I don't plan to be gone that long for a long, long time now. I plan to be here pretty much as I can be. We very well may go live tomorrow night. I got to check with the missus to make sure that I'm not going to be in trouble if I do that. I think it'll be fine. But I plan to be on here tomorrow night too. Hopefully the audience will follow. Hopefully we can gain some traction back. Because obviously when you go away for a while, people are going to fall off. That goes without saying. Even if they miss me, they're going to go, it's going to fall off. And it's been nagging me. Every time, I'm doing something for the house, I got to get the studio ready. Because look, this is a process. This does not just happen. This is only part of it. We're actually working, I'm working on another set that's behind there that's going to look really good. This will be the main one. That'll be a secondary. I got to get some equipment, make sure it's going to work. Obviously, we had some technical difficulties tonight. I had to uninstall everything and reinstall it and rework it. There's a web of wires right behind this desk that is not organized at all. It's driving me crazy. I've been Home Depot to death over the past month. I've been busy, but I've been busy trying to make sure this is going to be up to everybody's expectations and frankly up to my expectations as well. But like I said, I don't plan to go anywhere in the near future. This is hopefully the permanent home of On Deck, at least until Megan wants another house. But for right now, it's good where we're at. So for the record, I am a resident of Alabama now, which is not something I thought I would be. But here we are. I am still in Braves country, but we are across the river. But like I said, thank you guys, everybody who reached out. Corey, you included. Got a couple comments over the past week. Once you go about 3 weeks, everybody goes, all right, everything okay? And yeah, everything's been fine. Just been working, getting the house together and making sure everything's good to go. So thank you guys for checking in. Corey says, I got a good Acuña home run video Saturday if you want it. Corey, I want it. You know my email. You should have already sent it to me. Yeah, go ahead and send it to me. Charles Pruitt says, hey, Taylor, long time no see. Now, Charles, my name is clearly in the title of this video. I'm gonna need you to get it right. It's Tyler. Daniel Barrett says, hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Corey Carter says A.J. Smith-Shawver for Mason Miller. I did just harp on bullpen. Give me a moment. Let me look at what Mason Miller's doing this year because I haven't been able to really follow Mason Miller very much. I will tell you this. A.J. Smith-Shawver has been my guy for quite a while. He's been a guy that I've followed. I've liked his stuff. I've liked really everything about the way he pitches. And really, Mason Miller with the Athletics had a breakout season. Last year he was an all-star. He had 28 saves. He's got 12 this year. He's got a 5.79 ERA, though. I'd be curious to know how many blown saves he has. Strikeout per nine is at 17, though. That's pretty good. I mean, look, he's an Oakland A. He would definitely be better if he got under the learning tree in Atlanta. But I think it's a lot to give up in A.J. Smith-Shawver for Mason Miller, which is why you'd be able to do it. The A's would definitely probably take you up on that because they get a young starter, which they, in theory, don't have a lot of, and you get the guy that everybody wanted last year. But I'm surprised they didn't trade him last year. If I'm honest with you. I'm surprised the A's didn't trade him to a contender last year and get a load of prospects for him. The Braves are not high in prospect capital. They do have some guys, though. A.J. Smith-Shawver is, I would still say, technically one of them. He is in the running for Rookie of the Year campaign. I think you'd be better off with probably doing like a J.R. Ritchie or an Owen Murphy or somebody in the minors, maybe a Blake Burkhalter. The Braves do have pitching, and Columbus. I've talked before. Columbus just got a Double-A team, and they're finally starting to hit a little bit. They got some guys that are raking. Ethan Workinger is a name to watch, but beyond that, the pitching is really where it is. And it always has been that way. No surprise there. Burkhalter, if you remember, played at Auburn a couple of years ago. I actually covered him in the playoffs a couple of years ago. Lights out reliever. Now he's moved into a starting role. He's been really solid. Hayden Harris has been good. Ian Mejia is solid too. I mean, they got guys at the Double-A level. So I know they got guys at the Triple-A level. I would tell you that I think that's where your real prospect capital is. With AJ, I feel like you've invested so much in him in terms of giving him certain appearances that he's such a veteran, which makes him valuable in trade capital. But I think you need guys that are going to be able to impact the team now because, look, we've talked a long time about there being a window. And there is a window for how long the Braves are going to be successful. Acuña is only going to be Acuña of now for so long. Ozzie Albies is only going to be able to perform up to a certain level for so long. Riley, Olsen, Murphy, continue. There is a window. There's a window for how long these guys' contracts are, which we'll discuss at a later date, in depth, because I want to get that right. But there's a window, and it's how it is with every team. There is a window. The Braves are still in that window. They're kind of blowing it a little right now, but they are in that window, and they have talent enough to be able to compete with anybody in baseball any given year. And that's only going to be the case for so long, in theory, unless they just decide that they're going to be the Dodgers and buy everybody, which under the current regime, I don't see that happening. Now, that said, A.J. Smith-Shawver gives you far more in that space than Mason Miller does. Mason Miller gives you, he's a reliever that can solve this year's problem. A.J. Smith-Shawver gives you, he's a reliever that could take the place of whoever your next starter is to leave, right? And so far this year, he's had really good days. He's had some bad days, but mostly he's been good. He's not the rookie that Spencer Schwellenbach was necessarily, but he has definitely had days where he has looked great. And if he can be a little bit more consistent, I think he's a guy that the Braves are really going to bank on. I could be wrong, but I like his chances in staying in a Braves uniform. That said, I'm not opposed to trading for relievers. I just think it's going to come from a lower level because those guys are frankly higher rated because They haven't been called up to the show. They have a world of potential, and they could go pretty much anywhere. We actually interviewed J.R. Ritchie a couple years ago when he got drafted. He actually just got called up to Columbus, so I'll look forward to seeing him when they get back to Columbus. They're on a road trip right now. I believe they're in Knoxville right now. So hopefully I can get you some answers on something. We'll see. Mass Boost tunes in. Thank you. There's a conversation about the lineup, as there usually is. Corey Carter says plug Ozzie into the 2-hole. Just plug Ozuna into the 2-hole. He leads the team both on base percentage and is one of the most productive hitters. I think Ozuna, I don't know that Ozuna is a 2-hole hitter, even if he is doing that. To me, if he's doing that, you don't want to take him out of the spot that he's doing it in, right? Like they used to say about Michael Harris, why is he in the 9-hole? Well, because he's productive in the 9-hole. He's a rookie, right, at the time. Sometimes you don't want to mess with it too much because if you take a guy out of the spot he's familiar with, he may not like it very much. Ozuna's a power guy. Guys get on base so Ozuna can knock him in. That's, in theory, what's supposed to happen. People are talking about Kimbrel, and I was hoping somebody would bring this up. Craig Kimbrel has been great in the minor leagues, and I got a front row seat to it. I got to cover him quite a bit when he came here to Columbus, over there to Columbus. I got to speak with him for a moment. The first game in Columbus, frankly, in 20 years, pretty cool. He actually came through back when he was, in the minors originally. He came through Columbus, and Columbus has obviously made a lot of improvements to the park. It's no longer called Golden Park. It's called Synovus Park. People are putting a lot of money into it. They got their name on it. So he got to see all the improvements, and he was talking about how much it had really improved because, it is a very historic field. Anyway, we got to have a conversation about that. I want you all to know that I did try to get him to use Welcome to the Jungle. I tried really hard, and I don't think he was going for it. But I shot the shot. It didn't go in, I don't think, unless he does it at the major league level. But I did attempt to go with Welcome to the Jungle, and we'll see what happens. In terms of him going to the majors, I was skeptical at first, just because the velo was a concern. I'll tell you the story. I was sitting relatively right behind home plate filming, and there was a couple scouts next to me that I got to be buddies with over 5 days. And I leaned over at one point, and I think his name was Kevin. I said, Kevin, give me the velo, because they didn't have the scoreboard working yet. Brand new ballpark, give them some slack. But they didn't have the scoreboard speedometer working yet. So I was, hey, what's the velo? Give me the velo. And it was sitting right around 92, 93. Nothing super impressive. But it moved well, and it played well at the AA level, and then it got called up to AAA. Really, all things considered, he's been really solid. And I personally think whether he's the closer or not, he should be given a chance. Now, that said, it's at the Braves' discretion. They know more than I do. But right now, with how questionable the pen is, I don't know who you remove necessarily. I'm not going to go picking a guy to, call Kimbrel up, DFA this guy. That's not really my way of doing things. But I do think that Craig Kimbrel could be a valuable tool in some capacity, whether it be right now or whether it be a month from now. I think he could be very valuable in that capacity. I'm looking at his minor league stats right now. In Gwinnett, he's got a 169 ERA 169 through 10 innings. He's been really good there. His strikeout per 9.3. I'm looking for total. In AA, let me see AA. He had a 0 ERA, 3 innings, but 0 ERA. He got called up to Gwinnett very quickly. He only had 3 appearances here. But I will tell you, the crowd was with it. The crowd was more than with it. They were happy to see Kimbrel. They were ready to see Kimbrel. And I still think it would have been better had they played Welcome to the Jungle. I will stick by that. Guys, real quick, If you would, do us a favor, like the video if you have not already, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I promise we're going to do this more regularly now that I've moved. It's a lot to move, guys. It's quite a bit of memorabilia, and frankly, as Megan would put it, junk, that I have, and it's quite a bit of just stuff to do. If you've ever bought a house, you got to paint the walls. You got to, there's a trip to Home Depot at least twice a week, at least. Or at least Walmart, something goes wrong every other day, but we're figuring it out. But I promise we're going to do this more regularly. We got this figured out. We got all the equipment figured out for the most part. In fact, now we're adding on, which may happen as early as next week, but no promises. We'll see. But no, I promise we're going to be more regular here, but I'd like you to be a part of it if you haven't been before. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck and, of course, with the Atlanta Braves. We're going to go to a quick break real quick. Got to pay the bills. And, of course, with our good friends at Glenn Smith Chevrolet. If you're looking for a vehicle, they're the place to look.
In 2025, we're hammering down high prices at Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. New GMC Sierra 4x4 crew cabs, discounted up to $12,000 off. GMC Terrain with a roomy cabin and pro safety, discounted up to $7,000 off. Enjoy the new year with no payments for 120 days. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlennSmith.com. Get ready to smile.
And welcome back, guys. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Really do appreciate it. A lot of talk about the Rockies in the chat because I brought that up. And as Corey Carter put it, we did lose to the Rockies. One of their very few wins was to us. So it is what it is. Let me see. I think I missed a couple chats. Let's see. Newcomb just got acquired in Oakland. Watch out, fire extinguishers. That's all I'm going to say there. Josh Green, if you're AA, how do you fix the core issues? You can't get rid of the locked up guys. And you don't want to get rid of the locked up guys. That's the core of your team, right? Like, you have core issues, but you don't want to get rid of the core of your team. You want to keep those guys. That's why you locked them up in the first place. Look, Ozuna, I think his contract ends at the end of the year. So, in theory, you could free up money that way at the end of this season. I don't know that you want to do that. He's been really good and, frankly, kind of a leader on the team, over the past couple of years. I think Riley Olsen, I think they're solid. I think Acuña, if he's playing like he's playing, even with 2 torn ACLs, you don't want to do anything with those guys. The pitching, Chris Sale, you got a deal for. Spencer Schwellenbach's still like on his rookie contract. AJ Smith-Shawver on his rookie contract. Spencer Strider is coming off an injury. I think that kind of fixes itself. Time will tell with that. Reynaldo Lopez, we'll see. In terms of the core issues, I think it's a mentality problem. Kevin Seitzer spoke about it after he got fired last year, and I found it pretty interesting because he spoke about the fact that everybody was trying to do too much. Everybody had the mentality of, over the fence or not at all, and that's what played into it. It didn't have the rhythm that it did in 23, right? The league has adjusted to the Braves because in 23, nobody could stop the offensive ability of the Atlanta Braves. There were people questioning if we were pulling in Astros and had some kind of technology assistance. It was ridiculous. And we knew coming into 2024 last year that wasn't going to happen again in all likelihood. It just wasn't. I would say that, a lot of our problems are going to be fixed with Acuña's return. And you might scoff at that. You might say, well, that doesn't tell me anything, but I'm serious because with Acuña's return, he hasn't had a healthy season since his MVP season, and he is still that guy. I think he's shown it so far. So I think that kind of solves the offense in a lot of ways because you plug Acuña into the offense, naturally, most days, today notwithstanding, most days that's going to be a big factor. In terms of the pitching, I think the starters are fine. that's going to solve itself. The bullpen, to me, if you're at the trade deadline and you're like, what can we solve to help this team win right now? I want to say the Braves have lost like 8 or 9 one-run games or something like that. Rysel has not been what we expect out of Rysel Iglesias. I think last year he gave up a total of 4 homers. This year he's already given up like 8, something along those lines. So that to me is a concern. You want a lockdown guy in the 9th, but even then, you don't have very many guys you can choose from in the setup innings either. So to me, if you really want to shake things up, if you really want to just go out and improve the core issue, it's the bullpen. The team you have is pretty much locked in, starting pitching and position players. For the most part, it's pretty much locked in. So, because even in left field right now with the guys that we're using, at some point Profar is going to come back. Now, that's the real question. What do you do with Profar when he returns? Do you trade him? Do you let him play through the regular season and maybe make the playoffs and then he doesn't play? What do you do with Jurickson and Profar? So that to me is kind of an unanswered question that I'm looking forward to getting the answer to. If history is to tell us anything, the Braves very well may just keep him. Because I remember when Ozuna got, in trouble, everybody thought he was gone, and especially when he wasn't playing well. Everybody thought he was gone. And, we heard that the Braves did try to trade him, and looking back on it, it's probably a good thing they didn't in a lot of ways. So it's tough to say what will happen there, but that to me is, at least in the peripheral, it's something to consider because he can't help you in the playoffs. If you have any playoff aspirations, you're going to have to do that without Jurickson and Profar this season. So it could go a lot of different ways. In terms of, again, how to help the core issue, I think it's bullpen. Now, that's not to say there won't be other moves elsewhere that can help benefit the team. Anthopoulos has never been against doing anything that, could help benefit the team in any area at the deadline or in the offseason or whenever, if it's the right deal for the right price. It's all about what shakes out. I don't have any just up here that I'm ready to throw at you. If you have them, I'll be glad to do what I did with Corey a few minutes ago and kind of look and tell you what I think. But I don't have anything that just jumps out and goes, that's the obvious choice, right? I'm going to do some digging over the next few weeks because the trade deadline is only a couple months away. We'll go from there, but it's always one of our biggest topics of the year is what's going on at the deadline, especially since 21. That's been a big topic. So we're going to be on that. But good question, Josh. Very good question. I wish I had a better answer, but I think we'll get that answer as time goes on, obviously, and things will be more clear as we get closer to the deadline because, look, if we get to the deadline and the Braves are out of it, I hope it doesn't happen, but let's just assume that for a second. You have a completely different mindset than if you get to the deadline and you're 3 games back, right? You have a completely different mindset. We saw that in 21. 21 would not have happened had the pickup of Jock Peterson not been beneficial. They would have traded Jock Peterson right back or right to someone else and then started, cutting costs where they can to better themselves for next year. The Braves right now are in danger of that. Whether we want to admit it or not, they are in danger of that. They don't want that, but that could very well happen. Now, you start to look around, what are they going to cut? Who are they going to cut? Well, you're going to try to offload cash, and that starts normally with free agents. So let's see who the Braves have free agents this year. I believe one of them is Marcell Ozuna. Let me go back, sorry. So 2025 Atlanta Braves free agents. Alex Verdugo, Brian De La Cruz, Connor Gillespie, and Carlos D. Rodriguez. So, I think that's correct, yeah. They also have Jurickson and Profar on here. I don't know why. That's odd. So, for me, I don't know that there's anybody there really that I'm looking at going, yeah, that could cut a lot of costs. I could have sworn that Ozuna was on there. I guess he must be 2026. But look, guys like that have a year on their contract left, that are valuable to the team that cost money. And Ozuna does cost quite a bit of money. Remember, his contract is backloaded. He's a free agent in 2026. So you could offload that cash, and then you have all the money in the world to play around with the following year. The other thing that we have to consider is that the Braves are trying to save money. Whether they want to admit it or not, actions speak louder than words. They're not going to say it, and Anthopoulos is not going to tell you that, but actions do speak louder than words. They're not making big-time moves. They made the one big-time move with Profar, and that was it. I think that they are trying to save money. I think that's clear. I think they're trying to stay below that luxury tax because we've discussed this in depth. It resets next year. And if you think they don't want to do that as a business, I think you're fooling yourself. So they are working in that parameter, which means I have to work in that parameter. I at least have to assume that's what they're doing because so far that's what they're doing. And I know that when I say that, people get mad because they want the team to, compete, be like the Yankees, be like the Dodgers, compete. And I get it, but, reality and and not reality are two different things. So, we'll see. But I personally think that's kind of where we're at. Let's see. A lot of people in the chat. I saw my friend on the go with CeeLo there a second ago. Appreciate you tuning in, buddy. Let me see where we were. I lost my place. Thank you, CeeLo. Appreciate the welcome back. Really do. Mass Boost gives us some numbers. He was sitting at 94.4 in his last outing. That's solid. If he can get up to 95, 96, I think that's when he'll get the call. Let's see. Jeff Barry says, I was sick as a dog today, so sitting through that game was extra tough, fitting as they played how I feel. Well, Jeff, I'm sorry you're sick. I had a battle with that about a month ago myself. I don't know what sickness you had, but what I had knocked me on my tail. I don't call out of work a lot. It's just not something I like to do. And whatever I had put me out. There was no option. I had to. We'll see. But, I hope you feel better, man. I hope this show makes you, happy that you stayed up at least. Let's see. Yeah, Profar will be back in a month. I think if Profar comes back and he's just not hitting, I think you try to put him on the trade market. Even if he is hitting, I think you explore the trade market to see if someone will take him for the deal we got him for the next couple of years. Because he can't help you in the playoffs, which for the Braves, that may not matter. I don't know. But that's just where my head is sitting. If you have playoff aspirations and, frankly, you're dealing with, lack of a better word, a conduct issue on top of it, I don't know that you're going to want to – I don't know. That's just me. Trevor says, we are not replacing Nick Anderson with Eli White. Nick is statistically the best defender at any position. Nick Anderson. Yeah, Nick Allen. I like Nick Allen. I think Eli White and Nick Allen have been really solid when we've used them. I think they have been they're not going to be elite players. They're not going to be a Dansby Swanson at short, and they're not going to be Acuña right in the outfield. It's just not going to be that. But what they've been able to do in a short amount of time has been solid. It has been dependable, and you have to give kudos where it's due. In terms of replacing Nick Allen, after the play he made the other day with Acuña in the outfield, throwing the guy out at second, the tag he made, Nick Allen's my shortstop. And we had that conversation a lot with Arcia, where a lot of people wanted Arcia gone for a long time. And towards the end, I agreed. Not because I don't like Arcia, not because anything like that, but because he wasn't performing to expectations. Now, that said, I don't think that's the only reason. I think another reason you got rid of Arcia was because he no longer fit what the team needed. And Arcia never had the bat that many of us wish that he did. But what he did have was a solid glove, and he also had a lineup behind him that made his offensive concerns less worrisome. And When that was gone, and the team wasn't really hitting, that's when Arcia became a target of the fans, because he was concerning. He did not, have what a lot of the other guys had in the offensive category. But then, his defense started to waver too. And it just felt like the Braves needed to go a different direction, and now they have. Nick Allen is just a guy that seems to make things happen. He's had a couple of infield hits. Eli White has hit the cover off the ball. I don't know how long that'll last, but it is what it is right now. I think Nick Allen, as a defender, is hard to beat. I don't think you're going to find anybody, especially probably, I assume, for what we're paying him. I just don't think so. I think you could definitely improve altogether, right? Because Nick Allen's offense is not, like I said, elite. If you wanted to go after a shortstop, I think that's an off-season situation. I don't think that's an in-season situation. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think if the money situation wasn't there, I think at that point you explore all, but I just don't think that's top priority. I think bullpen is hurting us far more than anything at shortstop. Jeffrey Humphreys says, a lot of fans are fussing about our core guys not hitting and wanting to trade our guys. Similarly, the same fans probably want to trade their car when they just need a tune-up. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like that. Look, I'm not pro trading our guys. Not the core guys. I'm just not the guys we've locked up for long term, and I'm going to explain why. There's a few reasons. Number one, they're better than they've been this year. But number two, when you lock a guy up for, let's say, 5-6 years, there's an expectation there that they're going to be there for at least the majority of that time. Acuña is locked up for a 10-year deal. I want to say that ends pretty soon, actually. Ozzy's locked up, and they took lesser deals for the security of being locked up long term. Yeah, Acuña's free agent in 2027. That's not far from now. So, to me, when you lock a guy up, whether it be Olsen, Riley, Acuña, Albies, Murphy, there's an expectation there. And I just don't feel like the Braves are a team that's going to backtrack on that, at least not often, and not, just because we're having one bad go at it. They're far more patient than that. And speaking of catching, I want to give a highlight to Drake Baldwin, because I haven't talked about him enough on this. And I interviewed him in spring training. I interviewed pretty much anybody that would talk to me in spring training. But I did speak with him, and this is before, we knew of Drake Baldwin. We knew he was a really solid prospect. But I interviewed him thinking, well, we'll see how this goes. And boy, oh boy, has he been good for the Braves. A lot of people arguing he should be the starter. I wouldn't go that far just yet. He is still a rookie. But he's been really good. Snit said the other day it reminds him of when Brian McCann came up. I think that's a great compliment. But he's been solid. He's been really, really solid. And I think the longer time goes on, the better he's going to be. I mean, he's a hitter that I wish we'd have had a couple of years ago in 2023. And here's what I mean by that. 2023, nothing to complain about offensively. Guys were hitting the ball a million miles an hour. It was nuts. Records, galore. Just absolute nuts in 2023. But we didn't really have a guy that was, maybe outside of Acuña, that was just hitting, just raking. And Drake, well, he rakes, right? I mean, we've seen that tweet a million times this year. But he's been really good at just putting the ball in play and getting on base, knocking runs in with base hits. And that is something that the Braves, as a whole, last year did not have. And it's been nice to see. I think that's got to be part of why they really considered bringing him up. That, especially when you lose a guy like d'Arnaud in the offseason, and what a gut punch that was, and that just didn't feel right, especially after all of what he had done with Murphy getting hurt. It just didn't feel right. I think we can all agree there. Baldwin has been a breath of fresh air. He's lived up to expectation. He filled the shoes nicely of d'Arnaud, and I just wanted to highlight that for a second. He's been really solid. Jeff Berry says Nick Allen needs to continue doing what he's doing, bunting and getting runners over. Yeah, it's a lost art in Major League Baseball today. And the Braves, to be fair, it's not ideal to have a guy bunting guys over in today's game of baseball. You just want 9 guys that are going to, drill the ball over the fence. But in to me, the correct form of baseball, you have a couple of guys like a Nick Allen who do bunt runners over. I cover high school baseball all the time, and it happens in every game. At the college level, it happens. Major League Baseball, no chance. Because people don't get paid to bunt. Just is what it is. That's just my opinion, and the opinion of just about every former big leaguer I talk to is that not enough people are playing the way the game is intended to be played. And it's kind of fun to watch Nick Allen play and be a part of this team because he sets stuff up. He makes stuff happen, and he's been able to do that so far this year. On the go with CeeLo wants to call Eli White White Lightning, courtesy of George Jones. I'm not opposed to it. Corey Carter says he thinks Bichette gets moved. Maybe. I thought the Blue Jays were going to make moves last year. I thought they were going to go nuts last year, and they didn't. So, we all thought Bo Bichette was going to move, and he didn't. We thought Vlad Guerrero was going to move, and he didn't. And I'm kind of getting tired of wondering. Bichette's been okay this year. He's got a 270 average, 4 homers. I don't know if it's giving you that much more, than what, frankly, what Nick Allen's giving you right now. That's just me. Let's see. Trev, did any teams pick up Matzik after the Yankees dropped him? I don't believe so. I did not see anything after that, but I'll see what I can find out for you. But I did not see anything. He's a free agent, so we'll see, but that's all I got so far. You talk about a guy that I root for no matter what team he's on. I love Matzik. I interviewed him a couple of years ago. Super down to earth, super nice. A great social media personality. Great nickname too. If you know, you know. But I wish he could find it one more time and just be what he was. I really do. On the go with CeeLo. Tyler, I met his aunt on a celebrity cruise last year in a hot tub. Alrighty then. I think you're talking about Drake Baldwin. She told me that he would be in the majors and doing great. Well, she was right. Hopefully it continues. Jeff Berry says, we got to make a decision about Ozuna. We don't want to do what the Angels did by keeping Ohtani instead of hitting the trade deadline jackpot. Yeah, they sure would have. Well, you got another year. Ozuna, if you don't do anything this year, if you just stand pat, I just read off the free agents. It's Brian De La Cruz and, it's nobody that's staggering. So you could afford to stand pat, reset the luxury tax, and then be super creative next year. Super balls to the wall, go nuts on the money if you want to. Or you could go to next year, do that, see how it goes, and then decide, okay, well, Ozuna, we're going to trade you. We're going to give you to a competitor and see what happens there. And if the Braves aren't in it, then Ozuna would probably welcome it, in my opinion. So we'll see. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break real quick, pay the bills real quick. We'll be right back. When we return, though, we're going to wrap it up. So make sure to get your questions in. And again, please do that. Please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. We really would appreciate it.
In 2025, we're hammering down high prices at Clint Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. New Chevy Silverado 4x4 crew cabs, discounted up to $12,000 off. Brand new 2025 Chevy Equinox, the compact SUV with high-tech features, discounted up to $5,000 off. Enjoy the new year with no payments for 120 days. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlynnSmith.com. Get ready to smile. In 2025, we're hammering down high prices at Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. New GMC Sierra 4x4 crew cabs, discounted up to $12,000 off. GMC Terrain with a roomy cabin and pro safety, discounted up to $7,000 off. Enjoy the new year with no payments for 120 days. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlynnSmith.com. Get ready to smile. In 2025, we're hammering down high prices at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. New Chevy Silverado 4x4 crew cabs, discounted up to $12,000 off. Brand new 2025 Chevy Equinox, the compact SUV with high-tech features, discounted up to $5,000 off. Enjoy the new year with no payments for 120 days. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlynnSmith.com. Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with us. Let's see. Mass Boost says, if the Braves are 15 games out of a playoff spot come the trade deadline, then sure. Yeah, I mean, I think at that point, all bets are off for sure. I don't think they'll be 15 games out. I sincerely hope they're not. In fact, I really think things are actually pointing up. I don't think it's a question of if things will get better. I think it's more along the lines of will the Braves be able to fix it in time? That's more along where I, am kind of wondering. It could fix very quickly and they could go on a run and all of a sudden, they go from being 12 games back or 9 games back now to being 6 games back to 3 games back. I mean, it could roll right off. But the times that you got to attack it are against the division opponents. And right now against Phillies, they start out 0-2 loss today, right? So, or a 2-0 loss today. Let me do that so my dad doesn't correct me because I know it's coming. 2-0 loss today to the Phillies. Of course, they'll look to bounce back, but you got to win these series. You got to win the series, especially against the Mets. You got to win against the Phillies. You don't want to lose to the Marlins. You don't want to lose to the Nationals. They're behind you, but the division games are drastically important, as is every game, really. But the head-to-head matchups, you can just directly address the issue. And to me, that's kind of what's better. We're going to wrap it up here in just a second. Before we go, though, I wanted to show you guys just a preview of kind of what we're working on with the set. So you're used to this for the most part. This doesn't look a whole lot different. This is kind of what we're working on. This is the other half of the room. You may be asking, well, Tyler, why aren't you over there? Well, the microphone doesn't go that far. So we're figuring out some bugs, figuring out some issues still. But we are under construction. We will have some more sets, some more angles, maybe some spaces for some interviews. We're working on some things. That's going to be the main focus right over there. So we are looking to do some things. There is potential of this wall too. I can't show you. I wish I could. I want to do that I'll tell you is I want to do like a tour of the studio, MTV Crib style. Just show you kind of everything in here. And I mean, look, I have a collection. I like to show it. It's it's a cool room it looks like an antique mall when you walk in. However you want to look, but I would love to do that. We're working on it. I got to get my buddy Drew Plata to show up and do what he needs to do. You have to really encourage Drew to get him out of the house. But I'll work on it. We're gonna make it look good, and I am looking forward to that. But we have a lot of projects in the can. I have about 3 interviews that I want to get out pretty soon. They're already filmed. I just have to edit them. I haven't had a lot of time, but that's going to change in the next week. We're going to get it out to you. So if you would, again, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. CeeLo, I saw your comment. We will text. I'm absolutely down for that. I'm going to just go on and say it for the 20 people watching right now. We're going live tomorrow night. Tell your friends. Get it out there. After the game tomorrow night, win or lose, we're getting on here. We're going to discuss it. So make sure you are a part of it. We really would appreciate it. To make sure you're a part of it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, hit the bell for notifications so that you're notified when we go live and when we do pretty much anything. It really would. We really would appreciate that. And you never know. We do giveaways, of merch, of autograph stuff sometimes. So you never know what's going to happen. You just never know what's going to happen. So make sure to tune in every live stream. If you missed this one, if you're watching this on the replay, we really do appreciate you. You're in our hearts just as much as the 20 people watching. But no, the Braves are going to turn it around. I have full faith, and we're going to be here every step of the way going forward. So again, thank you guys. Really do appreciate you guys watching. And one more time, thank you to our friends over at Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC. They have been huge supporters of us for going on over a year now, and we really do appreciate all they do for us. And, of course, all they will continue to do throughout this season. So, again, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.